Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 11 of Season 3 NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Hollywood Casino 400 here at Kansas Speedway, one of my all-time favorite tracks in this game, and we are getting set for what will probably be quite a memorable race. But before we take a look at the starting lineup, let's actually take a look and see how the current point standings look coming into the race today. So after last week at Old Spice Raceway, Charles Sanford extends his points lead to 22 points over Dylan Jacobs. Third is David Rivera. Fourth is Emmanuel Hartnett. Fifth is James Qualls. Sixth is Dylan Young. Seventh, Trent Dunham. 8th, and our pole sitter for today, Dylan Thoreau. 9th, DJ Curtis, and 10th, Joshua Sekuli. So currently, the drivers that would be the two wildcard drivers for being the highest outside the top 10, inside the top 30 in points are Rafael LeDuc and Pichu London. But with that said, let's go ahead and look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row will be Chris Dollarton and David Rivera. In the top 10, however, Dylan Thoreau is on the pole, like I said, for this race. Starting next to him is rookie Zach Flickinger. Row 2 are the other two rookies in the field, Jay Jefferson and Jake Rogers. Row 3 is Jake Baskinger and Benjamin Miles. Row 4, James McLeod, Dylan Young. And then row 5, it's a Stuart Haas. Row 5, Mark Lane and DJ Curtis. Now, before we get into the command, quite a few announcements regarding some driver changes for Season 4. Quite a few drivers are having their farewell season, particularly Mark Lane and potentially David Rivera. However, it is unknown if whether or not David Rivera will continue after this season. We won't know until later in the week. So there you have it with that. But with that said, let's finally get the command to start the engines here for the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas.
Drivers, start your engines!
And there you have it. Engines are revving up. And one big thing you're going to notice, all three of the Evernham Motorsports drivers are in this race running the same paint scheme. They are running the Retro 2005 Indianapolis Casey Kane paint scheme, in which they will be continuing to run that for quite a few races as the season progresses. And let's actually look at those. So there is Zachary Fitzwater in the number 91 version of the car. And there you see the number 9 of Paul Minnick in that same ride. And there is Ashland Boyd in the 10 running the paint scheme as well. So all three of those guys running the same paint scheme, which is very unique. And I think if they all make the race next week at Pocono, then they will have another brand new paint scheme to unveil. And that will be exciting. But the pace car has entered pit road, which means it is time to boogity, 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 go racing. A lot of competitive action already. 4 and 5 wide I saw off of turn 4 there. That was insanity. But they somehow, someway made it work without crashing. As we try to get up to the front of the field, right now the leader is Jay Jefferson of the 5 as the lead swapped for a moment. So right now the 5 of Jay Jefferson has the advantage right now over DJ Curtis, who moves into second. Jessica Sheldon up to third, but here comes a couple Toyotas, Dougie Shears and Dylan Jacobs. They're trying to utilize the bottom, and here comes one of those 3 Evernham cars. Ashlyn Boyd is in the picture, but here comes the points leader, Charles Sanford, into the picture. At the line, it was a dead heat at the line between Jefferson and Curtis, but Jefferson led that lap, and now Curtis goes to the point. As I see a few stragglers, may have been from some miscues on the track, and those are Dorian Facepuncher and Joshua Collard, Austin LaPlante. Everyone else is still relatively close to each other. Well, LaPlante's actually still within reach of everyone else, but yeah, the 43 and the 62, don't know what happened to them, but Dougie Shears now has the lead, but he's got competition in the form of Pichu London and Jay Jefferson. Jefferson, who led early a couple laps ago, he's trying to get back to the lead. As meanwhile, 4 wide, and oh, we got a crash! Oh, and this is this is a big mess. Oh my goodness, multiple cars upside down. Oh, and a massive barrel roll for the 91 of Zachary Fitzwater, and they still wreck cars getting upside down. Wow, that was probably the biggest wreck we have had all season. All as a result of 4 wide going wrong. Massive crash, although they better slow down and avoid hitting some of these guys. And hopefully some of them stay to the apron, but man, that was massive. That had to have been at least half of the field right there. There you see the 88 of Jonathan Zorleen was in there, the pole sitter Dylan Thoreau, there's Fitzwater. Trent Dunham was involved, Tim Walsh, Dylan Poteet, Collard, who was at the very back of the field, was involved. Seth Cole was there. There's Facepuncher, who was dead last. Shelley was involved. Shelton was in it. There's Rogers, and Rogers just has not been able to catch a break all season long. He has had DNFs constantly. Few cars with damage. Rafael Leduc has some right side damage, but not too much. But you never know, that could affect his car. Let's actually keep an eye on some of these guys who have damage. There's Baskinger with some damage. 78 of Dylan Jacobs with some big time rear end damage. Though he's going to try and continue. Rafael Leduc going to try and continue. DJ Curtis, who was a front runner early on, he was caught up in it. David Rivera even had some damage from that, but man, that was massive. That had to have been probably one of the biggest wrecks we have ever had in the history of this channel, and definitely the biggest wreck we've had all season. Numerous cars hit hard, went upside down, or barrel rolled. Man. But I guess Sean Galligan will be your leader whenever we get back to green, but it won't be for a little while. Let's go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the first time today here at Kansas. Well, here's a look at what happened. So Tim Fiegel goes to the apron, which is fair, and makes it 4 wide, and the 41 of Mark Lane is trying to give room for Tim Fiegel to come back up the track, but runs up into Dylan Jacobs and teammate DJ Curtis. And James Qualls even received some damage from that wreck. And everything was okay here. But then the 41... Oh, we're going to have to look at several angles. But first we're going to keep an eye on the 78. As he was slowing down, he got turned by Dylan Young. Comes up right in front of Jake Rogers, who hit the wall so hard. He went up in the air, and then he's going to flip. And he flips over top of the roof of his teammate, Dylan Jacobs, and then continues to flip down the racetrack, and there you see Paul Minnick get damaged, and he slides up into the 87. The 41 went upside down. There's going to be a lot of angles we're going to have to look at this, so this may be the longest wreck analysis ever on this channel, because there's so much to look at. Charles Sanford, the points leader, even got damaged, but we're going to go to the 98 of Seth Cole, because this is when the big stuff really gets started. As some of the drivers were going down the racetrack to avoid, the 98 gets loose, gets into the 70, but Had Saban then gets turned by the 71, who gets clobbered by the 31, and that sent the 71 going upside down. And the 91 and the 11 went up into the catch fence, and the 91 just barrel rolled over Poteet, and as he was rolling, it sent the 31 rolling for a couple barrel rolls. But the 91 was the one who took the worst of that by barrel rolling numerous times. Joshua Collard slides up into the 71, who also, in turn, looks like hits the 02 of Shelton. Man, so much to look at that we haven't even seen yet. But let's actually go to helicopter camera to try to get a good view of everything else. But man, numerous cars were involved that we didn't know about. The 09 of Matthews was in it, Rivera was in it, Gardner, Phil Parker even got a piece of it, Anthony McCrory as well. There's Walsh, Hartnett, LaPlante even got into it. So here is Collard. Let's see how he gets involved. Oh, he just barely sideswiped the one of Trent Dunham, and that's how he got the damage. And that's how he went sliding. I thought he just got randomly loose as he was going on the brakes. But now we're going to look at Dorian Facepuncher, who was dead last, and see how it was he got involved. There you see the pace car already out, and there's still, it's like the track is almost completely blocked. And Facepuncher, I'm not sure who it is he's going to hit. Oh, it was Collard. Collard had his track way below the yellow line, and because the 62 was trying to get on through, didn't see the 43 there and ran and plowed into him. But let's go back up and look at when this wreck started and keep an eye on the 41 of Mark Lane. So as you see, Fiegel makes a 4 wide. The 41's trying to give room, but runs the 78 and the 14 up the racetrack as the 14 went airborne, and the 70 got a little piece of it. But it ain't over yet, because then the 41, he continues to slide right in front of Jonathan Zorling. That's how Zorling gets his damage. And then the 41 doesn't see Jessica Sheldon, and then they both, 41 and the 02, ride the outside wall and then start to flip. I think at least about 6 to 7 cars went upside down in this crash, which is unprecedented for a track like Kansas. I mean, like I said, this had to have taken out more than half the field. And the guy who took the worst of it was the 91 of Zachary Fitzwater. And let's watch his ride and count the amount of flips he takes, because he flipped the most out of anyone. Start up into the catch fence, and then there's one roll, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So he flipped over 7 times in that wreck. And what made that even crazier is watch try to get to the 31 of Dylan Poteet. Watch as the 91 starts to flip. As he was flipping, the weight of the 91 pulls the 31 over to the right, and that's what sends the 31 car for a couple of barrel rolls. So that was rather crazy right there. The 71 was upside down, the 02 was upside down, the 41, the 87, even though the 87 continued to drive after he flipped over his teammate Dylan Jacobs. But man, so many cars out of the race as a result of all that. Well, let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Kansas. Well, we are down to 25 cars in the field, so the list of drivers out of the race include Jake Baskinger, James Qualls, Jake Rogers, Dylan Thoreau, Mark Lane, Chris Michaels, Dorian Facepuncher, James Shelley, Jessica Sheldon, Seth Cole, Jonathan Zorling, Dylan Poteet, Kyle Matthews, Zachary Fitzwater, Trent Dunham, Tim Walsh, and Joshua Collard. So we're down to 25 cars on track. Some of them may not be up to speed, but Sean Galligan is your leader. Second is Jay Jefferson. Third is Pichu London. Fourth, Ashland Boyd. Fifth, James McLeod. Sixth is Dougie Shears. Seventh, Preston Plord. Eighth, Tim Fiegel. Ninth, Matt McIntyre. 10th is Joshua Sekuli. Then it's Dylan Young, Zach Flickinger, Charles Sanford, Benjamin Miles, Austin LaPlante, Chris Dollarton, DJ Curtis, Emmanuel Hartnett, Phil Parker, Paul Minnick, Anthony McCrory, Dylan Jacobs, Rafael Leduc, Johnny Gardner, and David Rivera. So those are the cars left on track, and the one definitely off the pace right now is the 12 of Phil Parker. Everyone else maybe a tad off the pace or up to speed. But now it is 30 to go at the line here, and now Pichu London has taken over the top spot. But here comes the 83 of Dougie Shears for the spot, and also Preston Plord. But Matt McIntyre's got his nose underneath. He might make it 3 wide for the lead. Couldn't quite keep the momentum going off of 4, and whoa, he slowed way down and went on the apron to try and do something, and it didn't quite compute for him. But Preston Plord has the lead currently at the moment, as I'm looking around the field to see who is all off the pace or not. Rafael Leduc, it looks like he got his car repaired enough to the point where he can still run, so that's good for him. Same with David Rivera, even though he was involved in that crash. Even Dylan Jacobs appears to be running alright. A lot of drivers, quite a few drivers who were in that wreck are still able to run up to par, so good break for some of those guys, so they're going to be able to try and gain some points. But right now, Dylan Young has the race lead for the time being. And here comes Benjamin Miles in second, but the points leader and only two-time winner this season, Charles Sanford, is now up here. And Sanford trying to go for win number 3 to get a for sure guaranteed locked up spot in the chase, whether it be in the top 10 or wild card. But he's got to try and find a way around the 2 of Dylan Young, and Dylan Young is in desperation to try and get a win this season. But here comes Sanford. He's got the run, and also Benjamin Miles is running up here as well. And now he goes by the 2. Zach Flickinger in the 4, one of the rookies in this race. He's now found his way up here in the top 5. Ashland Boyd in that new paint scheme I talked about. He's trying to work his way into the top 5. As we continue to look around to see how things are progressing for some of these wrecked race cars. But Sanford has the lead, and here comes Miles. Flickinger thought about making it 3 wide on the apron, but decided against it, which might have worked out in his favor to keep from a wreck happening, and now he might have a run on the 55 here going into turn 3. And the 4 has to run, but here comes the 10 of Ashland Boyd. He's got to run for himself. And he's going to utilize the apron, actually gained a little bit, and now is going to have the run off of 2. And speaking of 2, here comes the 2 of Dylan Young to try and retake the spot. And Matt McIntyre, who thought about going underneath the white line on the apron to try to go for the lead, but backed down, lost several spots, he's back up here in the mix. McLeod is now arriving into the picture. Oh man, 4 wide. Hopefully they don't crash again. And, oh, there they go! Oh my goodness, hard hits! Those are some vicious hits. Oh my goodness, and LeDuc plows into the 4. Jacobs gets into it. Multi-car accident. All involving the same sort of scenario that brought out the big one earlier today, as they just got past around the halfway point of the race. And Dylan Young has the lead. But man, some hard hits were given in that crash. And with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the second time today here at Kansas. So this is deja vu from earlier. It was the 5 of Jay Jefferson who made it 4 wide. 55 trying to give room and comes up into Dougie Shears, into Zach Flickinger. And all 3 of those cars hit pretty hard. And then Preston Plord hit the 4 really hard into that wreck. And everything was seemingly okay here. They were just sliding up the racetrack. But then, because of this banking, whatever goes up must come back down. And some cars were committed to the bottom, as you're going to see here in just a moment. They all get stopped, and it was Rafael LeDuc and Paul Minnick who slam into that mess, and the 4 goes upside down. And then Dylan Jacobs, trying to miss it, gets into the 9 of Paul Minnick, and that's how he ends up getting his damage. So we're going to have quite a few more cars done for the day after this. About a good 5 to 6 car incident as a result of 4 wide going completely wrong once again. But let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Kansas. Well, after that last caution, more cars out of the race include Rafael LeDuc, Dylan Jacobs, Zach Flickinger, Dougie Shears, and Paul Minnick. We're down to 20 cars on the lead lap, 20 cars left on track. 5 cars are restarting ahead of the leader, and they include David Rivera, Emmanuel Hartnett, Johnny Gardner, Austin LaPlante, Phil Parker. So this might be a chaotic restart, but Dylan Young is still your leader. Second is Matt McIntyre. Third, Ashland Boyd. Fourth is Jay Jefferson. Fifth, James McLeod. Sixth is DJ Curtis. Seventh, Tim Fiegel. Eighth, Sean Galligan. Ninth, Chris Dollerton. 10th, Charles Sanford. 11th, Joshua Sekuli. 12th, Peachy London. 13th, Preston Plord. 14th is Anthony McCurry. And then 15th, Benjamin Miles. So this might end up turning really, really ugly really fast, because 5 cars, a few of them are off the pace and damaged, particularly the 12 and the 7, maybe the 20 as well, and possibly the 6. The 48 seems to be okay, but this is gonna, I got a feeling this may be a wreck waiting to happen. I just can't help but think this might be a wreck waiting to happen. Back underway here at Kansas, we're going to stay on the 12 and hope that everyone can get around him safely, so that way no wrecks can occur here. Now, the 12 trying to do his best, but now he's holding up the outside lane, causing them to go double to 3 wide. Oh man, now they're 4 wide again. But luckily, no one's on the apron, so it can work. Alright, so they've gotten around the 12, but what about the 7 and the 48? Not quite yet. The 20's still up here, the 6 is still up here. But back up at the front, Dylan Young still leads, but Matt McIntyre is going to say, nuh-uh, he's going to take over the top spot. But Ashland Boyd in the 10 wants to have a say in this fight. And at the line, looked like McIntyre got it by a fender. But now the 10 officially takes over the top spot. As I'm looking around to see if the 48 and the 7 are getting passed by alright. The 20 slightly off the pace, but not like severely off the pace like the 12 and the 7 are. But back up here, Ashlyn Boyd has the race lead. Dylan Young in second. Right now, third is Jefferson. Fourth, McIntyre. Fifth, Curtis. And here comes, in the middle, Joshua Sekuli, who has not had the best of luck the past few weeks. He went from leading the points for about, I think, the first 5-6 races, falling back to 10th in points. But he could gain a ton of ground and get up higher in the points once again, because he's currently running now in the 6th position for the time being. Still got a good way to go, and we've had a nice little green flag run where drivers are trying to do all they can to get the proper track position they want. But the 10 has the lead, and the 5 of Jefferson, who has came close a couple times this season to getting good runs, but because of lap cars, he has not had the best of luck. Right now, he's up here in the 2nd spot, trying to go for his first career win in the series. And he's right on the back bumper of the 10. Will the 5 go for a move here? It looks like he's trying. Oh, he's got his nose underneath. I think he'll get him off of turn 4. And he does make it work off of turn 4. Anyways, Pichu London up to 3rd, but whoa, a big run using the apron is the 51 of McLeod. And McLeod, so far this season, only missed 1 race, and that was the Daytona 500. Has had an alright start to the season, 4 top 10 finishes, but he is looking for his first top 5 and or a win. And right now he's in position to make it happen, as it's going to be 9 to go here, 9 to go at the line, and the 10 has the lead once again, but the 51 is not far from the reach of the top spots. Same with the 44. Here comes Galligan. Fiegel, who's coming up here, and Matt McIntyre trying to make a comeback. Same with Jay Jefferson. There's still anybody who's running up here in the top 10 or so still has a legit chance to win this race. Actually, anybody in the top 11 could still have a chance to win this race. Don't discount the 79 or the 2 cars quite just yet. As meanwhile, up here at the front, it looks like it's going to be 3 wide for the lead. Fiegel has it, but here comes McIntyre in the 24. Matt McIntyre doesn't have the lead yet, but he looks like he's going to have the run off of turn 2 whenever we get off turn 2, and he's going to get the spot now. But here comes McLeod and Jefferson. The 51 and 5 are now up here. 3 wide all over the place, and Galligan's going to drop for a bit. But yeah, let's see how much margin it is between the top 11. 1.2 seconds. So really anybody who's in the top 11 right now has a chance to win this race. Oh, but they've caught Phil Parker. This could shake it all up in a huge way. Parker trying to stay up high, but he's going to hold up the 14, the 24, among many others. The 61 now getting held up slightly. But it looks like the top 11 managed to get through okay, but that did cause a little bit of distance separation. A little bit of a separation among a lot of people, but now they're going to catch Benjamin Miles here very shortly. So the lap traffic is not quite finished yet. As up here at the front, Fiegel has the lead and it's 4 to go. But they have caught the 55. We're going to stay on the 55 for a lap or so. Oh, near contact between McLeod and London. But everybody's doing alright at getting by the 55. See what happens. Will he stay up high or is he going to go down low and block? No, it looks like he's going to stay up in the high line. So it looks like everyone's going to be okay, maybe except for DJ Curtis and Joshua Sekuli. So I think those two are officially out of the hunt to win this race. But meanwhile, it's 3 wide for the lead. Galligan goes back up. And here comes the 10 who's trying to reel in the 44 once again for the top spot. Looks like this race is going to come down to the top 9. Curtis and Sekuli are pretty much done. They're too far back. A lap and a half to go, and we got 2 Dodges up here racing for the lead. Galligan and Boyd is going to go to the front, but will he be able to stay up there? We're coming on the white flag. White flag is out here at Kansas. Will the 10 get his first career win in the series, or is someone going to play the spoiler card in this? Right now, the 21 has a run, but Galligan trying to take that run away. Oh man, this is going to be interesting to see what happens, but I think the 10 is going to keep it up at the front. Checkered flag is waving now off of 4. Ashlyn Boyd in the brand new paint scheme gets his first career win in the series. He wins the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas. Holy cow. What a drive for the 10 team. They sometimes are very inconsistent with qualifying in the races via the go or go home qualifying, but they made it in this week in a brand new paint scheme, and they come out with the W. So let's take a look at the rest of the results. Sean Galligan, who needed to get a good run if he wants to get closer to get back into the top 30. He comes through with a phenomenal finish in second. Matt McIntyre comes through with a great run in third. Solid 4th place finish for Tim Fiegel, and then a great run in 5th for Pichu London. A great run in the 6th position for James McLeod. A solid run in 7th for Anthony McCurry. Solid run in 8th for Dylan Young. Highest finishing rookie in the field was Jay Jefferson, comes through at 9th. And Joshua Sekuli rounds out the top 10 in 10th. Rest of the cars had finished on the lead lap were DJ Curtis, Charles Sanford, and Chris Dollarton. Everyone else finished a lap or more down. David Rivera, Benjamin Miles, Preston Blord, Emmanuel Hartnett, Austin LaPlante, Johnny Gardner, and Phil Parker. Everyone else was out of the race after the 2 cautions that came out. Rafael Leduc, Dylan Jacobs, Zach Flickinger, Dougie Shears, Paul Minnick, Jake Rogers, James Qualls, Jake Rogers. I think I might have said Jake Rogers when I meant to say Jake Baskinger. Then Qualls, then Jake Rogers. Dylan Thoreau, Mark Lane, Chris Michaels, Dorian Facepuncher, James Shelley, Jessica Shelton, Seth Cole, Jonathan Zorline, Dylan Poteet, Kyle Matthews, Zachary Fitzwater, Trent Dunham, Tim Walsh, and Joshua Collard. So that does it for our coverage here today at Kansas. We got 1 race left until we get to All-Star break at Dragonette. And that next race we got will be the return of Pocono for the Pocono 400. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Pocono. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off. And I almost forgot to mention, Merry Christmas, everyone.